This video is going to demonstrate the new features that have been added to the Best Spinner version 2.9. Now the first big addition is a new fully featured spell checker. It uses the same icon you're used to, but when you click it, you'll see that now a spell checker comes up that's got what you might be used to in Word or another word processor, where it shows you the word in its context and gives you suggestions, and you can then choose to ignore all, add the word to your personal database, or change all. And there are also a series of options that you can select if you care to make some advanced changes to the spell checker. You go ahead and change that, and you see it continues, and you can use it like you would a normal spell checker. So that's a big addition. You'll find that it's much improved over the original spell checker. But now another big change to the Best Spinner version 2.9 is an addition to the bulk spin files. Let me go ahead and select that, and I will go to a folder on my computer where I have a number of files stored. I have a lot of folders. Let's see. Here we go. Alright, I've got a bunch of text files in this folder, a bunch of articles, so I'll click OK. Now, it's going to ask me, do I want to auto-select synonyms, replace my favorites, or replace everyone's favorites on all the files in those folders. And the new one is generate spun articles, but let me go ahead and just auto-select words and phrases, all of them. Okay, so it did all the replacements. Now, I can open up one of those so you can take a look at it, and you'll see I've got a spin formatted file here. But now, let's say I want to take each one of those files and generate a new spun article off of that spin formatted file, off of every one of those files that have now been had synonyms added to them in that folder. I can go back to bulk spin, I can choose my folder, click OK, and I can do generate spun articles. And it asks me how many copies of each one do I want. Let's say I want 3 spun versions of each article that appears in my bulk directory. So I'll click OK. And it says that it's generated, and it tells you where they were put. So I'll go over to that folder so you can take a look. These are the 6 files that I auto-selected synonyms on, and it puts the spun versions into here, and you can see there's a temp 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And now we've got a temp 1, spun 1, temp 1, spun 2, temp 1, spun 3. So it generated 3 spun versions of each of those files. And if I double click on it, you can see I've got a regular spun file. So that's a big improvement, because now, in addition to applying favorites, everyone's favorites, and auto-select synonyms to all the files in a given folder, you can also create spun versions of the articles in those folders. So that's a big deal, big improvement. And now another major improvement to version 2.9 is the Project Explorer. So if I go ahead and click this, it's going to tell me that I'm not currently working in a project, but I'd like to create a project and add this article into it. I'm going to say yes, and you'll see now I've got a project and a file. And I can add folders or additional articles to this project. So let me go ahead and do add new article, or add existing article, and let me just add one here. Here we go. And so now I've got 2. I've got this article and this article, both under the same project. Now what's great about having articles under projects is I can now work on them together, and I can also modify them together. So if I right click on the project, you see I can replace favorites, replace everyone's favorites, or auto select synonyms. Let me go ahead and auto select synonyms, hit that, and you'll see now it's performed that on both of those files together. And that is a big improvement, because you can group all your files together and work on them together. But you can also add folders. You click on that once, and I can rename it. And I can add new articles to those folders, give it a file name, and I can work on it. And you'll see that it automatically names it based on the first line in the file, which is usually the title. But if you click on it once, you can rename it to whatever you want if you don't like the title that it gives it by default. And you can also right click on the folder name and do replace my favorites, replace everyone's, or auto select synonyms, and it will only apply that to the files that are underneath that folder. And that way you can section off your projects and work on them in groups. It's really very simple and very easy, but it's a powerful way to use the best spinner on any website projects you have that cover the same theme or category. And if you already have a number of files, you can import those articles. Select your folder where all those articles reside and click OK, and it will import all of the text articles in a folder right into your project. Really makes it very fast and easy to load any pre-existing articles you have and make projects out of them. Now you can see that it turns red when there's a modification that's been done and you need to save. And another change involving that project is whenever you click on the new project icon, you can choose to create another project, to add an article to the current project, or to create a standalone article. And the standalone article is what you were used to prior to 2.9. If you don't want to use a project, if you just want to work on one article, everything works exactly as you're used to before. Just click on that one. Or we can add an article to the current project, give it a name, and you'll see that it adds a new article underneath the folder that we currently had selected. So there you go. Those are the major improvements to version 2.9. It is released now. Please go to the forum and let me know what you think.